yapıyorlar ama başka araç yok. Çık dışarıya. Başka araç yok.
U.S. President Barack Obama has ordered preparations for a pinpointed air operation in Syria, roughly on the lines of the Libyan air offensive which toppled Muammar Gaddafi last year. It will target Syrian air bases like the As-Suwaida facility, from which Bashar Assad launches his Air Force planes and helicopters into action against the uprising. The air offensive will also hit the command centers of military forces fighting the rebellion at Homs and Idlib. A prime target is Assad's presidential palace and military headquarters situated in a compound atop Mount Qasiyun north of Damascus, which can only be approached through an underground road. The offensive is planned as a combined U.S., British, French mission. Royal Air Force planes will come in from the Akrotiri base in Cyprus and French bombers from the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier. The primary hurdle to be overcome by the bombers is the array of Syrian Pantsir anti-air batteries. The prospect of a U.S.-led air offensive in Syria is a cause of concern in Moscow and Beijing. The Russian and Chinese presidents
chief negotiator in the Syrian conflict says he's confident an upcoming meeting in Geneva will bear fruit. Kofi Annan has called the gathering of the world's most influential states to find common ground on how to end hostilities in Syria. Moscow and Washington, however, have a chance to discuss the issue before the main talks. And for more on this, let's cross now live to RT's Lucy Kavanagh, and she is in St. Petersburg. Lucy, we all know, of course, there are deep divisions between Russia and America over Syria. Talks are underway now. What are the expectations of a positive outcome?
Well, the expectations are, it's certainly difficult to say, but the stakes could not possibly be higher. I just walked out of the hotel behind me where the Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, and Sergei Lavrov have walked in literally moments ago, closed the doors behind them, and sat down finally for face-to-face talks to try to iron out the very, very deep divide between the two countries that really could make or break the negotiations tomorrow in Geneva on Syria. If the two sides can come to some sort of an agreement, this means that this could really be an international turning point for how the Syrian crisis will develop. Unfortunately, the positions between the two countries are quite vast, and it hasn't really seemed, based on Hillary Clinton's comments throughout the week and today, that the U.S. has made any sort of steps towards changing its position. The Russians have not come out with any sort of official statements as of yet, but Sergei Lavrov did take to Twitter through the Foreign Ministry's official Twitter feed, calling for a procedure for some sort of a ceasefire agreement, the removal of both Assad forces as well as opposition armed forces from the towns that currently have UN peace monitors in them. The issue at hand here, what the two sides are trying to negotiate, the sticking point for the United States is a plan that calls for a new government in Syria that does not include Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The Russian position continues to be that the Syrian factions within the country must decide the future of Syria, and not a group of outside international powers that are meeting in Geneva to talk about all this. It really is hard to tell whether there's going to be any movement on these positions, because in order for the two sides to come to some sort of an agreement, one country or another is going to have to drastically, radically move away from the positions that it's taken in the lead up to these talks. So again, very, very difficult to see whether anything will actually come out of this, but we are standing by. One thing I wanted to add, actually, we do know that Sergei Lavrov will be meeting with reporters afterwards. Hillary Clinton is actually going to be flying to Geneva immediately after these talks with no press conference. In my experience, if there were high expectations for a diplomatic breakthrough, the Secretary of State would not be leaving so quickly, and so I wouldn't hold my breath, but of course we are following the situation very closely and we'll keep you up to date.
Thanks a lot, Lucy. Yes, of course, we'll hear more from you later. Lucy Kavanagh live there in St. Petersburg.